Welcome everybody, and we are back. Burner and Barthy are here again to unplug another season of Central Coast Rugby. With well over 21,000 downloads already, prepare your ears for all the latest news, views and shit takes surrounding the sport and the community that ties us all together. Good chat, good footy, good fun. Take it away, boys.
Thanks, Tomo, for another awesome intro. Mate,
Yeah. I thought she was a little bit flat today, this week.
Yeah, well, you got to give her, you got to pep a step every now and then. I don't think you give her enough praise a little bit, and even if you don't give her praise, I'm not too happy about it. Mate, you've obviously been. I'll ask you how your week was, but obviously tail into why you've been kicked out of B&B Studios after your effort last week.
Well, mate, my week's been fantastic. Thanks for asking. It's been really good. Any day that you have a bit of sunshine. Yeah, all seasons. Yeah, lots of heat over the weekend. It was great. Don't mind a bit of hot weather, so that was good. Thanks for asking. But so yeah, I'm in temporary accommodation, mate. As you know, the B&B Studios had some audio issues last week, and apologies for all those listeners out there who had to sit through and the abomination that was the B&B Studios, and so hence the acoustics are getting reviewed and getting a full going over. And as a result, I'm in temporary accommodation and in a temporary studio, as you can see, for those of you watching through YouTube, or maybe we post this as a little bit of a social media clip. How's your week, pal?
My week's been good, mate. Normal stuff. Excited that we have a draw that's out, which we can chat about on our episode today. So obviously a couple of weeks without a draw, but now that that's back, obviously a fair bit to do. Have copped a little bit of flack for not getting involved in the running of the B&B Bitumen Batch, which we'll get to later on.
Fair enough.
But I do want to state there was an injury that was involved in that. It wasn't a lack of will. It was a lack of calf muscle, but the issue seems to be resolved at the moment. But obviously we'll see how that kind of next couple of weeks.
We'll cover off that a bit later on. I've got a few points to make about that, but mate, the draw, how good? Yeah,
so the draw finally out now. So Woy has been confirmed to be the 9 teams. So 9 teams in Premier 1 and Premier 2. A bit of a different draw for President's Cup and for the women's as well. So Premier 1 and Premier 2 will follow each other around. So obviously awesome to get the draw out there. Great news that Woy's involved as well and are looking like they will be strong.
Absolutely.
From reports. So if that's the case, that is obviously a good sign for Central Coast Rugby, not just to have another side in there, but to have a side that has strength. Is what
how awesome are these changing dynamics and what we get told, and the rumor mill that's what's happening on the sporting front and who's showing up where. We had the Woolwee Lions dead and buried about 3 or 4 weeks ago with the mail that we were getting and we were receiving. And big ups and congratulations to the administration of Central Coast Rugby Union who gave them that little bit of time, and the numbers have come and they've worked really hard, and it's really exciting that the Woolwee Lions are back in the Premier 1, Premier 2 and women's competition. I think that's fantastic, and I think it's a really well done to everyone at the Woolwee Rugby Club, but also a little bit of a well done to the Central Coast Rugby Union for I guess their patience and persistence in supporting them, because here we are, 9-team competition in Premier 1 and obviously 7 teams in the women. So, outstanding for everyone. Good stuff.
All right, on to the draw, mate. So we might cover off on round 1 then because there's a couple of important games there. Starting off with Lake Macquarie, they opened their season and their venture into the Central Coast Rugby competition up against Warnervale at Walters Park, Boolaroo. Can you tell me much about Walters? Yeah, can you tell me much about Walters Park, mate?
It's one of the great rugby. Yeah, I do have one of the great rugby fields. Generally keep the grass around 75 mil is what they try and do. That's when they have grass there. Boolaroo is known for its dry environments and its crusty ground, but when we keep the earth up to it and we get those fertilised well with a bit of gypsum and salts, it's great. And as a result, the Lake Macquarie Roos, they're outstanding. They're going to be hard to beat up there at home. Their first round match against the Wildcats, my Wildcats. And what a great way to start the competition. Home game, big day for the Lake Macquarie Roos. We'll get them on either just beforehand or just after, I think. Important to get them, see how they're going. And it's exciting times.
Get to know some of the players around the club, or even some of the management around the club as well. Second game, mate, Woy and Razorbacks. So Woy hosting the Razorbacks, which will be a very tough round one.
What's the team? That's the team formerly known as the Razorbacks, as we know and the community knows. The team that is Orambong, the Orambong men's side. That'll be their first hit out as a new rugby club, the Orambong men's team, and taking on the Woy. I tell you what a baptism of fire for the Lions. I hope they're going to be at full strength, because in the fair dinkum department, that Razorback side is going to be bloody phenomenal. And if they can gel, it's going to take a bit of time. Obviously, it's not going to work straight away. But if they can gel, it's going to be an outstanding side. They're going to be really tough to beat. But yeah, good way to start for Woy. Test them up, throw them in the deep end early.
I think it's going to be there's a lot of new players, is what I'm saying, for Woy as well. So that'll be exactly what you said, a baptism of fire up against the class that will be the Razorbacks this year. They're the team to beat for me. And up against that, I know it's at home, so it's just one of those ones of get everyone down round one, get the crowd pumping up, the revitalise, and then you're up against a really class side. So we'll see how that goes and how their recruiting's gone as well.
Can they do the Dolphins in the NRL just against all odds?
Yeah, sure, mate. Why not? Let's just back him in for that one. On to the next game. Lakes hosting Avoca. So Slade Park looking gorgeous. I think it was Rayhana put up on his stories just a shot of Slade Park, and he's looking a dream. So Avoca get the first chance to play on that this year, obviously on the back of success up there for Sevens by the Sea. So there'll be a good round one clash. And interesting to see how Lakes are, because we haven't heard too much about Lakes, and they have been thereabouts the last few seasons, and just haven't quite got the result when they wanted it. And obviously in the grand final a few years ago, came down to, one play, one tackle was pretty much it. And then probably haven't been as high as they, would have liked in the season after that. So, it'd be interesting to see where they're at this year. We know Avoca's looking stronger than last year.
Yeah, they've got a new coaching staff up the Lakes as well, and a new establishment, as you sort of mentioned, a new look sort of side and feel for the place. So it'd be interesting. But I think Avoca are shaping up. They're going to be sort of bigger and stronger than last year, and a few of their younger players are going to be a little bit more experienced. And I think it's going to be a tough game for the Lakes. We'll see how they're shaping up. But what better way to start? How good does it start in the Central Coast competition when you get a home game? Just start. It's brilliant. But looking good for the Lakes. Good luck for them.
And the last game is Hornsby hosting Gosford. So Gosford get the first Gosford get their bus trip out of the way early. Probably not out of the way, but get to enjoy the bus trip earlier.
Well, you get two bus trips this year.
Well, that's true. You do. Warnervale to Lake Macquarie, though. I don't know if that's a bus trip, is it?
Yeah, not for Warnervale. Certainly will be for Gosford.
Well, it's a home game at Warnervale. Essentially. But yeah, for Gosford
Wangara. Wangara is a home game for Warnervale, isn't it?
Wangara is, which is pretty much Lake Macquarie, mate. If my geography serves me correct. Clearly not.
No, mate.
Hornsby hosting Gosford. What do you make of that this year? Because we don't really know too much about Hornsby, but we know Gosford have got a bit more strength this year, so that'll be a very interesting game.
I was disappointed in Hornsby, to be frank, last year. I thought they underachieved. From an outsider, obviously, I'm not involved in the inner workings of the club and know what sort of hassles they sort of may have had, or I know they didn't have Mark Taylor Oval, so that in itself is a difficult hurdle when you've got no sort of regular home to train at. But
they are back at Mark Taylor Oval now.
Yeah, no. So I hope to see an improved showing from them, considering they were extreme. Yeah, they went deep into the semi-finals 2 years ago, and I thought last year was a year to forget for them. And I think the best way to do that is by good performance against the Red Devils on their first game and at home too, and hopefully the opening of the Mark Taylor Oval if that's the case.
And Terrigal, mate, with the bye first up as well. So that's round one, which will be I think, as you said there, as we just spoke about there, Lake Macquarie, obviously the one that we've got to watch out for. Woy in the second game to see what their strengths are like. Lakes is the unknown there, and then the Hornsby-Gosford game. I think Gosford's the team that's going to improve a lot this year. They had a tough year last year, but it was also a really successful year in so many ways. So a very interesting start to the season. Over to the women. So we have 7 teams in the women's comp. So like the men's, every week there will be a bye. Hornsby take that bye first round. So the games are Warnervale taking on Terrigal, up at Walters Park, Boolaroo. What do you make of that, mate?
Well, it's the second home ground of the Wildcat women.
As we just spoke about, it's pretty much a home game. Walters Park, pretty much a home game.
Yeah, Boolaroo.
Quarry, right next to Woongarra.
I see it as a really good opportunity for the Wildcat women. We won't get too excited yet. We're still a few weeks out from the competition started, but I see it as a good chance. 3 weeks away, Wildcat women to target some training strategies and try and hit the Trojans early. It's the best time to try and get them because we've seen that Terrigal Trojan women's side. They're a strong rugby team. If you want to, you want to beat them. You want to beat them when they're early and rusty, not when they're getting their combinations together. So good opportunity for the Wildcat women, I think.
Yeah, second game, Woy hosting the Razorbacks. This will be a very interesting one because I think the Razorbacks have been, they've dropped the bong. We know that. But
it's exciting for them.
It is very exciting. Well, they can play with a lot more freedom now. They don't have the weight of the bong on their shoulders. Woy is a bit of the unknown. They've got a lot of their older team that was sort of there before the Woy-Gosford kind of merger. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. So this will be a pretty interesting matchup between these two. I think it'll be fairly even.
It'd be interesting to see if the Woy women who sort of went to other clubs. Some went to Terrigal, some went to Avoca, and some went to sort of Ourimbah and Carryong and sort of spread themselves out to get a game. I really hope they're returning to Woy. From a romantic point of view, they want to get the club back together. There might be good reasons why they left, and they're happy with their new clubs. But if all the women that went to make the other teams and other clubs stronger, if they leave to come back to Woy, I think they're going to be a very competitive team. I really do. So so
you got those players like Ebony Millgate, Hayley Egan, Holly Johnston, Aishel Curdy. They're all Woy. So if they come back, then that's some strength that was obviously bolstered in there. And know that Ella Carlisle played for the Woy-Gosford, but that was more that Gosford merger. I'm pretty confident she'll play for Avoca this year. But there's some talent to go back there, and there's also players that didn't play like Sheridan Hulls. Like there's some really good players that are there that just had the year off because Woy weren't there, which is fair. So they will hopefully come back as well and build that up. And there was a really good culture around that team as well when it was there.
Yeah, well, let's hope they get themselves organised. I think it'll be a good, probably the pick of the games, to be honest. This far out, from a competitive nature perspective. So
and last game is Lakes hosting Avoca. So Lakes steadily improving each year, but are up against it, obviously, against Avoca. They're Avoca and Terrigal. Pardon the voice crack, mate. It's late. Is that the first one of the year? That's pretty good. Episode 3. Terrigal Avoca is, I'll never stop saying this until I go to the grave, or until one of the teams starts.
There's no point saying it because they're not playing.
Yeah, I know. But those two teams, Avoca has the ascendancy on Terrigal now. I'm very confident of that. And that is probably going to hurt Terrigal as well.
What the hell's that got to do with Avoca playing?
Because Avoca's the premier team now in the competition. Avoca's the premier team now in the competition. That's what I'm getting to. If you're always Avoca and Terrigal, I'm going to class Avoca as above Terrigal.
So you've just forgotten my Lakes women completely and just disregarded them at all. They got no chance. Is that what you're saying?
You weren't listening to me as I was talking about the Lakes and said they've been
no surprises there.
Yeah. Either that or you're going deaf. Both are completely paused.
I think you're right. The Lakes women have been improving sort of the last couple of seasons, and they have to continue to improve, which I'm sure they will. And they've got the coaching staff and the I guess the competitive nature to improve. And we saw them; they were okay up at the Sevens by the Sea. So I think we will see an improved performance by them. So it's got a few more weeks to nail down a few combinations before they take on the best team in the competition.
right. Well, now we're going to talk about. I think I just got cut off by myself there. Our surprise packets or teams to watch this year.
Yeah, teams to watch.
What we one from the men's, one from the women's. So, do you want to start?
Yeah, mate. I'll start off with. I'll go with the men's side to start with, and the team I think to watch. I'm going to say the Gosford Red Devils. I think they're a side that they had a tough year, but what it was, it was a stealing year. It's a year where they can really they've created some solid foundations to now grow that club, and obviously we've got the likes of the great Adam Carlisle returning to Gosford to coach, and Andrew Mosley and just absolute legends of this competition and absolute legends of the Gosford Red Devils club coming back to get involved and to help them reestablish themselves into a competitive unit and a competitive team. I think we saw there's a nucleus of that, and they've got some. We saw that in patches last year, and for mine, the game against Carryong, it was the tightest game for 60 of that 80 minutes, and Carryong just sort of ran away with it in the last sort of 20. Yeah, so I think for mine, the Gosford Red Devils, they're going to be a team to really sort of watch. They may even push up for that top sort of 5 and try and sneak into the semi-finals. I think they might have it in them. They've got some good rugby players coming back and obviously growing and developing, and just the opportunity to learn from Adam Carlisle and Andrew Mosley and those greats of the game on the Central Coast. That could get a few people who are umming and ahhing and sitting on the fence to sort of make that commitment to play, and so I'll be interested to see how the Red Devils go. They're my team to watch in the men's.
Who have you got for the women's?
The women's is different. I'm going to go to a team. I'm going to go to a side that are perennial underperformers, and they're my Wildcat women. I've been hoping and praying for 3 or 4 years now for them to get themselves organised. They've got too many good footballers to keep underperforming. They've got too many good rugby players. So this is the year that my Wildcat women go well and push up into the semi-finals. So my Wildcat women, they're the ones to watch. Come on, girls, you can do it.
You've been riding them hard for the last few years, mate.
I have. But in the fair dinkum department, there is too much quality. I don't know what's going on up there. I don't know why they're not putting together more consistent performances. And this year could be the year they do it. And if they do, I honestly believe if they do it, they'll give the competition a shake. They really will. We might put a call out to Danielle Theron and the captain if try and sort of nut down a few sort of issues of why they're not quite getting it there. Because if they do, they will be a very, very good rugby side. How about you, pal? What do you see? We'll start off with the women's.
Women's, I think the Razorbacks. I think that obviously a bit of a rough year last year, but I think the culture that they've got at the Razorbacks, just seeing what they're doing, and I'm not saying it doesn't mean it's not happening, but I'm seeing it a lot more in the men's of the culture that they're bringing and the culture they're creating with the players that they're recruiting. And I think what Granger is doing, there's so many other people, but from my perspective, seeing what Granger is doing with getting people to the club and getting them to enjoy rugby, definitely not saying they won't do that before, but it looks like just a fun club to be around, a successful club, but a really fun club to be around. And I think that atmosphere that you have is what's going to entice people to come and play rugby. And I know they've got contacts for some really good players. So I think that they're going to be the improvers for me this year as the Razorbacks. I don't think they'll be sitting down the very bottom of the table like they were last year. So, and obviously playing with freedom now that they've dropped the bong, I think is a very important thing. So the Razorback women for me, mate, I think they'll be the team to watch, and I think they'll be the big improvers in the women's competition. And onto the men's. We nearly buried Woi Woi a few weeks ago.
Mate,
and
you had the shovel.
I had the shovel out, ready to go. And it's still the great unknown. And I'm saying all this with a grain of salt because Woi has the potential to fold this year. They've also got the potential to win the comp this year. Depends
Yeah.
what rumors you want to believe and how much things eventuate. So, just sort of a little bit of a reminder. There was 2013 where we was in a similar spot and basically dead and buried. And then in 2014, they hung around with a bit. We hung around with a bit of a team that was like, I think we got a couple of recruits, but like we're losing games and everything. And we didn't start winning until about round 9. And once round 9 started, we kind of started winning every single game. And that's when that kind of sort of built on and ended up finishing 4th and then going on to win it. It was recruitment, and then it was that recruitment is what generates younger talent to obviously stick around and be there because there's just some players that aren't cut out to be the whipping boys for years for the in honor of the club. Unluckily for me, I was one of them that was happy to be. Unluckily for me, sorry, but I think that this season could either go one or two ways of them. They could either have some tough defeats early on, and that will shock a lot of the players that they've brought back to play, or if they recruit well, which is what some of the rumors are, then that team could go on to be very successful in the top 4 or in the top 5. Sorry, if they finish there, they can give the competition a real shake as we've seen before. So Woi is the team to watch for me.
Yeah, I just hope their recruitment strategies are sustainable, as we sort of mentioned previously. Obviously, their 2014 strategies weren't sustainable because they're in the situation they're in now. Yeah, wonderfully successful, a couple of grand finals in a row, and just an absolutely outstanding sort of side they were putting together. But they need to, hopefully, with the powers to be there, they've put a strategy in place that's sustainable and will sustain them for longer into the future instead of just sort of 3 or 4 or 5 years. Hopefully they've got a strategy that will see their long-term future secured through their strategy. So it's a good one, good one to pick. I think the Wawa Lions. I think if quite a few people will be interested to see how they go.
Well, mate, the B&B Bitumen Bash. Let's touch on that. First of all, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is my lack of kilometres, which is now skyrocketed to 4Ks after a leisurely run this morning. So I had, before actually organising, I think it started on the Sunday. I had a mate that ran 10Ks and I had to beat him, so I went out and ran 11. The problem was that I did a calf injury or pulled my calf about 6 or 7Ks into that. And then from there, I just kept running because I had to get to the 11, obviously doing further damage to the calf. So I haven't ran for a little bit. And disappointingly, you've taken the opportunity to actually highlight that. And we've copped a little bit of flack from that. But I'm back on the bandwagon now, right? So I'm boosting Team B&B.
So just thank you. I appreciate your support in boosting Team B&B. But just to confirm, you hurt your calf the same, I think, weekend that I was rushed in for an emergency life-saving surgery. And
yes.
And I'm substantially ahead of you. Is that correct?
But the problem is that you don't run with your appendix. Do you know what I mean? Like that's
either do I. I left him in Gossett Hospital.
Yes, you are correct.
They're in a specimen jar up on the shelf somewhere.
But we're back in the bandwagon now, which is all that matters. So giving everybody a bit of an overview, if you aren't following us on the socials or you just haven't read the stuff completely, whatever the scenario is, giving you an overview. We have, I don't know how many days left off the top of my head.
Are you okay?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head how many days there is. I'm like, I'm no chance live to do this. Absolutely no chance. It finishes the Wednesday before the season starts. I think it's the 13th. Again, look that part up. Finishes on the 13th. $500 for the most kilometers for the club with the most kilometers. Sorry, and then $250 thanks to Sarah Lufay Dog Training for the top runners. So our top runners so far, our top 3, Matthew Kong, one of the great Wawa Rugby supporters. He is on 100.1 kilometers.
It's fair effort.
It is a fair effort. In second place is representing team referees is Dave Hall on 85 kilometers.
Yeah.
And Tim Lark representing the Trojans is on 82.6.
Ooh, tight.
Tim giving it a good shake there. So that's the top three for the individual honours, which is $250. For the clubs, here's where there's a lot of heavy lifting done by a few individuals, and clubs can really take this out if they want to. In first place is Terrigal on 201 kilometers, but there's 7 people in there that are doing a bit of lifting. Woiwoi's only got 3. They're on 127 kilometers, bearing in mind Matthew Kong is 100 of those. The Razorbacks. How many have I contributed?
No, I forgot. You're one of us now. You're not Woiwoi anymore. Your team beat me.
I should be team Woiwoi. I have more of a chance. You're not doing much. Razorbacks. They have one person who is running for them. They're on 77.7 kilometers. Just get another
awesome.
4 or 5 of you. Anybody.
Yeah.
Just join Cameron, who's putting in the hard yards. And the refs, there is 3 in team refs, and they're on 91.2 Ks. Again, Dave Hall amassing 85 of those 91.
So the other 3 referees have put in, 6 Ks, is that right?
Well, yes, 6 Ks in total. I haven't seen Eleni's name on there, which is... I don't know. Is that a surprise to you or not? I'm not too sure.
No, not really. Not really.
It'd be nice to see his name on there. Tom Waterhouse also flying the solo flag for Avoca on 40.8. So Avoca, I know you got people that can run. I know you got some fit people as well. It's a genuine opportunity for a club to take this competition out, earn $500, round 1 on the bar, whatever you want to do. If you got probably 5 or 6 people that are ready to have a crack and do it. So Terrigal in the lead at the moment with 201. But again, the more people that jump on, the easier.
I know we've got I think it's Logan, isn't it? Hamope flying the flag solo for Lakes.
No, it's Rayhana. We would be shattered that you just said Logan. But yeah, Rayhana.
Apologies.
I think he's on.
Apologies, Rayhana.
He's on about 14, I think. Rayhana. So again, more from the Lakes that can get around.
What the hell's Logan doing? Obviously nothing. Rayhana's the good one of the family.
Marshall well and truly sailing into the sunset, having no impact.
God, he's already out of the horizon.
So jump on board. Get amongst it. And so obviously awesome just seeing the photos as well. With what Sarah wanted with getting people to take photos, their pooches and upload it. It's good to see the actual the group and all the photos of people's dogs that's in there, which was Sarah's intention. She's happy to donate money. She didn't want anything in return. She just wanted to see people walking their animals. So walking their
isn't it funny? They say you start to look like your animals start to look like their owners, or the owners look like the animals. I think there's a few good cases for that in those photos. If you don't know what we're talking about, join us on Strava. You'll see it.
All right, well, mate, that'll do us for episode 3. So we've got a draw, so everyone can check that out. I don't know if it's published or they've done the really cool graphics of it though, but obviously ask your club and they'll give you the draw. But we've already given you what round 1 will look like. Obviously, Premier 1 will be the 5-team competition. The 5-team final series, which is awesome, which is what we sort of all wanted. So, but competitions kicks off on the 15th of April. Barthy, have I missed anything?
I don't think so, mate. As everyone's doing in their pre-season, they're just warming up. We're doing the same with the podcast. Just getting ourselves warmed up and ready to go for a big season ahead, which we're excited for. Trying out these new systems, so it's working all right. Again, I'll just give a quick shout out to anyone there who likes us to cover off anything in the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks before the competition starts. Feel free to send through some information, some questions, or some ideas you have. We've had some come through. We're going to try and get to some matches if we can, some junior games. We can't sort of promise anything at this point in time, but we love your ideas and your thoughts of what you can do and what you'd like us to do in the lead up towards the semis. So, it'd be great. Get on board. We're here for you guys, obviously. So we'll have a bit of fun as we head in towards this season kickoff in about 3 weeks.
We do have one thing, mate. If I can look around this. We have got something sent in. So where are we? I'm just going to move this camera slightly if I possibly can.
Is this the trials at Razorbacks?
It is. Have you got the times there?
15s, 18s, and 17s or something.
No,
16s.
So I go 16s, then 18s, then 15s.
Okay.
So it is.
They're all playing in the
playing in the Newcastle, the Hunter competition at Ourimbah Rugby Club. So Trojans versus the Wanderers, and it kicks off at 9:40 this Saturday.
Yeah, so they're Newcastle Wanderers. That'd be good if you want to see a bit of rugby and you want to get out and watch some juniors play. Go support you'd have to support the Terrigal Trojans if you're not that way inclined, but you can go out and you can support the Central Coast. And you can support the Central Coast side that happens to be from Terrigal playing in the Newcastle competition out the Razorbacks. So,
also shout out to the Razorbacks. They're doing some awesome stuff there with getting those grounds. I've seen every week they've got a lot of preseason games because they had the luxury of doing that. But they're getting that and they've got that ground looking awesome. I see they've got some working bees there constantly over the off season to make it so you don't have to have the mud pit as you walk into the place now. So they've done awesome things, especially with their clubhouse, obviously the last couple of years. Yeah,
making some good progress, aren't they? The Razorbacks and the direction they're taking their club. Yeah, they're going great guns and obviously recruited well. So yeah, things looking good for the Razorbacks at the moment.
All right, that'll do us, mate. See you next week.
Yeah.
See ya.